All right, welcome to Bluegrass Breakdown, episode 2. I'm Matt.
And I'm Clifton. And so this is the post game show, I guess, unofficially for the Texas game, and we'll lead into some pre-game for Ole Miss. So got a little of what we were hoping for. It wasn't the offense wasn't as stagnant in the first half um, as it has been. At least since conference play has started, we didn't get behind. So what kind of stood out to you, Matt? Just initial impressions of the game.
Um, Yeah, I think the first thing that I was pleased with was that we didn't get ourselves in a hole early. So that was like the first thing that I was kind of hoping for that wouldn't happen is get into a hole, and so we uh, accomplished that. The other thing that I noticed, especially early and really throughout the game, was our perimeter defense really was really great. I thought
Yeah.
we really were holding them down, and but yeah, moving we moved the ball better and getting better shots, and but again, I think just really keeping ourselves from getting down was what was the main thing I was looking for.
I thought Owe come out really strong, and I think maybe that's what it takes. One of these leaders of your team, whoever that is, uh, kind of step up and get you through any dry spells early on, while guys maybe shake off some rust or some nerves. Um, and I thought Owe kind of attacking the rim early on was able to have some defense that we had talked about lead to offense, get out in transition, had a nice dunk there in the first half. And, just in the first half, I want to think he had 10 or 12 points by halftime. And I thought him and then Aberdeen come on late in the half. And I thought that just really helped get them on a solid footing that they hadn't had really earlier uh, in conference play. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I guess
definitely.
for me, the big standout, though, is I thought in the second half, as good as Owe was, and Aberdeen, did a really good job getting to the line. I think he shot 12 free throws, and I would guess 75-80% of those probably went in. Uh, but I thought in the second half, Diabate, his defense was incredible, and the run that Chandler went on, I think that was the difference in the game ultimately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Going back to Owe in the first half, we kind of got into a little lull there early in the first half. They weren't really breaking out ahead of us, but we had it hard. Kind of having a little difficult time scoring, and Owe kind of stepped up, took it upon himself, made a couple of jumpers, got in the lane, and made and got. Got us going. But yeah, I think the story, offensively in the game was, Chandler really, he led us in that second half. What I think, 14 of 15 points. Um, he he scored there in that stretch, and obviously that was huge. I think that in that stretch we got up to I think we had an 11-point lead at that time when kind of at the peak of that.
Yeah, and doing all that while he was sick. There were some reports come out late in the evening that he had missed shoot around, and uh, I think I don't think I even read something that said him and Pope both had kind of been under the weather. So just one of those things that have been going around. I'm sure makes its way through a locker room and kind of getting into flu season. So. I know he wasn't feeling his best, but really one of his stronger games of the season against any quality competition. uh, I thought, there's been games here late. He's kind of had spurts and moments where he's kind of flashed on the screen. But I thought in this one, in the second half especially, he was just incredible,
Yeah.
impressive. And I thought another key to this game was um, free throw shooting. Looking here at the stats, 35 times Kentucky got to the line and hit 30, so that's 86%.
Yeah.
That had kind of been a weakness of this team and really left a lot of points on the table. And anytime you can get to the line that often, and a team like Kentucky who is going to attack, they're not a super strong 3-point shooting team. They only shot 18 uh, threes tonight. Um, but anytime you're attacking, you're going to get opportunities, and it's crucial that you knock them down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, 30 or 35 is just, I mean, that's crazy good. And, that's the kind of stuff that this team is going to have to do to win games. Hitting free throws at the end of the game like that, that's going to win games for you. Aberdeen missed a couple, but he made the ones he had to make
Yep.
to keep it, like a two possession game at least there towards the end the whole time. And um and that's just kind of what you've got to be able to do. And obviously as a whole and as a team, that's just excellent percentage, and hopefully we can continue to shoot well. I mean, I don't expect us to shoot 86% as a team
No.
every game, but I just hope that we can continue to make free throws, especially when they matter. Owe had a couple against Tennessee that he missed that luckily, that could have kind of
Yes.
made that got it a little bit further. And the score, I think it would have put us up if he'd have made his on that and one. He would have let him put us up three, I think, right?
Well, yeah, and
Um,
back to the game before LSU, the only reason they're able to have the lead where Marino hits the shot, the reason we're down one is because we were up one and Owe missed a free throw. And
yeah.
so once they scored, and so I was glad, this game he only got the line two times. It was on the flagrant foul
Uh-huh.
there, and he hit them both. So I was glad to see him hit them kind of in a pressure moment. It was kind of a time when Kentucky had got the lead, and then Texas had battled back. They did that kind of consistently through the second half. Kentucky would stretch it out to six or stretch it out to eight, and they battle back. And then you said I think one time it got to 11 before they got it back at one point one pretty late in the game before Kentucky was able to pull away. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good effort. Uh, like we said, the free throw line, I thought, they didn't shoot great, 28% from three. Uh, but, it's just one of those things. I don't think you're ever going to see this team just be knockdown shooters. There's a lot of guys that are capable, but they're known just that there's like, that's nobody like Kobe Brea from last year. Um,
No,
well,
and go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but we shot 28%, but uh, we kind of made the ones that it seemed like when we really needed it, we made it. Chandler makes two just huge threes, um, that were that we needed, um, to kind of give us continue that spark he was on. But yeah, I thought offensively we did what we had to do to win. And defensively, though, I also thought our perimeter defense, we held them to two threes, and both of those were basically uh, Swain. We towards the end of the shot clock just kind of uh, back Garrison up, and he didn't get out there on him. But I thought our perimeter defense was just maybe the best we've played all year. I mean,
Yeah.
we were really getting out in the passing, trying to get out in the passing lanes and contesting shots, and we were not giving them easy threes.
No, and
Um,
I said, we didn't shoot good, but they were only 2 of 18, so 11%. So like you said, they put pressure. They didn't give them easy shots. I even thought the ones they hit were contested.
yeah,
Um, and but you mentioned there, and we talked about him kind of before the game. But Swain was really impressive. I thought just as an athlete, a 6'8" guard. I thought he handled the ball really well. I'm not sure what he ended up with. I would assume close to 30. Uh,
yeah, it was around 30. I think I'm pretty
29.
sure it had, yeah,
Yeah,
it
hit
was.
both of their threes. So
Yeah, he's a player. I mean, he's
yeah,
the real deal. And
I,
you
watching
know,
him, I was thinking if this is probably 15 years ago before kind of the 3-point renaissance in the NBA, he's probably a top five pick. If you take a 6'8" guard that can handle the ball and just kind of do everything outside of his shooting, and then still, I think he's somebody who could be a lottery pick if he develops a consistent jump shot.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, and I was just kind of thinking also about Kentucky's uh just their performance overall. And I thought that uh, we had guys kind of step up, you know, and just give us some kind of quality minutes when we needed it. Like you mentioned Diabate, he really had some uh, few times down the floor on the defensive end where he really battled and uh, got us to turn them over and get a few stops. I thought Trent Noah came in, and I don't know if you remember the play, but he
Yeah.
found himself on Swain one time, and Swain did his best to try to back him in and make a move, and Trent was able to get that stop there, and just and we're gonna have to have a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah, I guess that gets us kind of to the post game. I thought really the bigger story than the game was kind of a couple things that happened after, and obviously the big news of the night was that Cam Williams broke his foot. This late in the year. I mean, I know you're just kind of a third of the way through conference play now, um, and I was reading an article before we started our show tonight that. Uh, Typically after surgery, I think the doctors were telling his dad 6 to 8 weeks, and so if it's 6 weeks, that puts you to the regular season finale. You have to wonder if it's the 8 week mark. Is Kentucky's season still going? Because that would put you into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament.
right.
Um, so you hope it's not season ending. I think a lot of people probably assume when you saw a broken foot this late in the year, he's done. But I know he's scheduled for surgery tomorrow. Was the latest thing I think Jack Pilgrim put out on KSR. Um, so hopefully he's back because I think he's someone who really has the potential to become that second, third option for this team that they're really missing right now.
Yeah, and he played great until he got hurt. I mean,
Yeah,
he had 9 big points, and he's an underrated defender. He really is. I mean, he does a good job defending that three position and even that four position at times. And he's athletic, and he's definitely a big key and big piece to this team. And it's just the injury bug with this
yeah.
Kentucky team. I don't know if have you ever, as a team, been this plagued by injuries like we have the last 2 years? I mean, it's been, it's been kind of just nuts, really.
Well, really,
Um,
almost for the last decade, it seems like every season there has been something, just a lingering question, something, that um, going all the way back to PJ Washington. You
right.
have the issues with Severe Wheeler, uh, and he missed practically, I guess, 2/3 of a season, uh, and then, like you said, into last year, and this year just kind of climaxes. I hope to where you have three players who, now in hindsight, looks like it could be three of your starting five uh, that may be out for the season.
Hmm.
And so, uh, I don't know. I just can't. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, but it just seems like there is an injury bug up there in Lexington, and it's hitting hard because, like, Cam Williams, you see all the potential there. You see all those physical tools, all those physical gifts, and he's someone I would like to, if he was playing and healthy, right there with Aberdeen and Elway, getting 32 to 35 minutes a game, and play him at the three, play him at the four, wherever. He's just someone who needs to be on the court because ultimately he's a difference maker.
Yeah, he was getting big minutes and getting more and more minutes each game. I felt like, again, getting into this comfort, getting into the rhythm of things, kind of like what Aberdeen has been doing, kind of getting in the rhythm of things, and you know, uh, it's just uh, it's a blow. And when you lose what a lot of people arguably thought our best player on the team was going to be in Jalen Lowe, and then you've got our only lottery pick that a lot of people in Jaden Quaintance, a potential lottery pick, hasn't played much at all, and which begs the question: what do you think? Is he? You think he's going to play again?
Honestly, I have my doubts, and I think part of that is that um, we're kind of, um, I guess we're a little gun shy because of the whole Shaden Sharp deal. And so maybe I wouldn't feel that way if, I didn't have those kind of tinted glasses on from that whole fiasco, which I think was just handled bad by everyone. And there's a lot of blame to go around. But in this, it feels different. I think he was sincere in wanting to play. Um, he came back, and I thought it was just fantastic in that second half against St. John's. The two games that followed, I assume it's at Belmont and Alabama, if I'm remembering correctly, they wasn't the same. You think Belmont's a team that if you're a lottery pick and you're that physically gifted and that big and that strong, you should just be dominating. You should have your
Or
way.
Bellarmine, I think.
Yeah,
But
Bellarmine. Yeah,
but
Bellarmine. You're right.
yeah. Well, if you and he only, but I think he only played like 7 minutes in that game,
Yeah,
in that Bellarmine game for whatever reason.
yeah. And
Um,
I just thought that was one you could have kind of shook the rust off. And I know it was probably a game that Pope felt like, we don't need him. We don't need Lowe. But ultimately, you're going to have to play these guys when you have them. And what do you think? Do you think he'll play?
I think he will play. I think he will play, but I also think that he's probably got some people, um, you know, I think that if he had everybody in his corner saying, you're good to go, I think he would for sure play. I think that he's probably got some people, making him hesitate a little bit, maybe advising him possibly not to play.
Yeah,
Um, because, I know he had some knee swelling. I mean, is the knee still swollen? Because if it is still swollen and he's not, I mean, do we know if he's practicing much, or, I mean, is he just, I guess that kind of plays a part in it too. Because if he's out there practicing and he's not playing,
yeah. Then
then
what's the
then
difference?
that kind of makes me think that he's just not going to do it. Um, but
I've
I
not heard anything about practice reports. Have you?
I I
I've
haven't.
not. I've not seen that he's practiced. Um,
Yeah,
I hope he plays. I want to see him because I think he has a gear probably that no one else on this team has. I mean, it looks different because he's not a guard, and he's not going to put up probably huge offensive numbers. But if he is at his peak, or even probably 80% of what he can be, he he gives this team a chance to be elite defensively.
yeah. Oh gosh. Well, he can guard all positions, and especially he could guard the 3, 4, and 5 on any team if he needed to, but especially, he gives those guys fours and fives just fits because he's got such long arms. I mean, he's able to back tap it when they're trying to back him in. And obviously he can just go up and block their shot with no trouble. And he moves his feet really well. So I mean, yeah, he's kind of just a freak, and when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I think he will play, but I also think that he could come back and play, and then I'll be ready for the next 3 games for him not to play, type of
Yeah,
thing. And so I don't know. I hope he plays. I do think he will at some point come back. But I think it's going to be soon. I think if he
yeah.
plays,
It's gonna have to be
I
soon.
expect to see him in the next uh
Week.
if he doesn't play by the Arkansas game.
Yeah,
I'm just not
yeah,
sure I'm not sure that he's going to come back and play.
yeah. So that gives
And
them a 2 week time from. And honestly, man, I would be okay if they said we're going to play him when he can. We're going to rest when he needs it. If there's any sign of swelling or even a hint of swelling, we're going to sit him for a game or two, then bring him back. I would be fine if they would just be open about that until you get to the tournament and then say, all right, we've managed it as well as we can. It's had a full year now to heal. Let's get after it in the conference tournament and whatever you're going to do in the NCAA. Uh, and, if they were just honest and said it, I think we're kind of, we're scarred by it because it's just been, there's no transparency when it comes to injuries. And I understand that you don't want to give away your hand, but I just think it leaves fans to wonder, and that void's always going to be filled by something.
yeah, well, Exactly, and I mean, I think if they do that, I think if they will do that, um, then I think everybody would be happy with that. You know, playing when we can, and then when he can play, and saving for the tournament. And just we want him to be able to play enough though to where, you can't expect him to play 3 games over the next, the rest of the SEC schedule, and then expect him to come in and be just a world difference maker.
Right.
And so, so I think he's got to get into a rhythm too.
Yep, I agree. And so hopefully that's something we see. But kind of as we wrap up the discussion on Texas and the last game and getting into the future, I did think one of Pope's comments in the post game was really interesting, and it's really not about the game, but there's been a lot of talk lately, and even today, I think his last name is Dink, a G League player that Kentucky's made contact with. It looks like that's going to be something, maybe an option for next year, which that's a discussion we need to have down the road too about recruiting. But um, Pope was asked because Arkansas had this Bediako, who was a center for them back in the early like 2021 to 2023, played 3 seasons. Then he went early to the NBA draft, went undrafted, but he signed 3 NBA contracts. All of them have been kind of the two-way contracts to where he's can play for a team. I think the Knicks have his rights right now. Or no, I'm mistaken on that. But an NBA team has his rights, but he's stayed in the G League. He's not played in the NBA. And right now, there's a 10-day injunction from the courts that says he's eligible to play today for 10 days for Alabama,
Right.
even though he's had 3 NBA contracts. And Pope he's asked about it. He didn't just bring it up out of the blue. Uh, and I thought he said something that I hadn't thought about, and I think it shows he is an intelligent guy. But there needs to be somebody making some decisions for the NCAA. And I know if the court's overriding you, that puts the NCAA in a tough spot. And, they get a bad rap. But if the court's saying, "Hey, this guy's eligible," and it's a federal court or a state court, you're kind of bound by that, or you're opening yourself up for a lawsuit. But Pope said that he's like, you know, the NCAA will have to allow those players to play if the courts deem that, and that's true. But I thought he had a good idea. He said ultimately, even though they have to play, that doesn't mean that team has to be eligible for the NCAA tournament, and so that maybe where the NCAA can get some power back.
Yeah, I did hear that, and I'm just not sure. What if he's, um, you would think that the NCAA, I guess, and they could do that, but if a federal court has basically said, he's able to play, and you can't keep him from playing, that even if the NCAA wanted to just say, well, we're not going to let you in,
Yeah,
I'm not sure that the NCAA would want that storm
yeah,
either. What do you, I don't know. I have different opinions and thoughts about this whole situation.
yeah.
How do you feel about going and getting a G League player?
I think it's tough to me. Just and I understand they've not played in the NBA, so it's not a huge difference from going and getting a foreign player. I understand that argument. Um, I have a little harder time in this situation with Bediako from Alabama because he chose to leave college. He's had that experience, and he chose, "Hey, I played 3. I'm going to the NBA." So you've almost surrendered your eligibility. So there's some other guys though that's never went to college and um, you know for whatever reason just went to the G League. I know they had the Ignite program there for a while, and maybe they chose to choose to come back now with the NIL and things as an option. Uh, that I understand that, but I think my big concern is if you're always going to these G League players and that becomes a steady stream to get talent from, and then add on the transfer portal somewhere. I mean, it's way down the line, but there are going to be high school kids who would have got a college scholarship and would have had their education paid for. That's not going to have that opportunity now. And
Yeah.
to me, that's a big deal, even if it's for 100 kids, and they would be going to a Division 3 school or Division 2 school because it bumps down. But that's still 100 kids, and when other guys they've had their chance. Uh,
Yeah, I don't love it. I really don't. This guy from Alabama, I think he's 23 years old. He's like you said, he already played in college and left. Don't really love that. Now, this guy that I think that I saw that, Kentucky, I'm not even sure if Kentucky has actually reached out to him or not. I know there's some word on the street about it. This Dink
yeah,
something, whatever.
yeah,
Um, but I, he's 19, so it's not like he's not been to college. I mean, I can see where you could allow that. I don't particularly like it, but I can see allowing some of that stuff to go on, especially, how do you make that cutoff?
yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. It's just, uh, uh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't particularly like it, but I get it, I guess.
Yeah,
And I
it's
mean,
it's a tough spot, but I just think ultimately we're going to have some ground rules put in place, and whether it's Congress doing that, which I'm not holding my breath on that. If it's the NCAA, if it's and ultimately I think it's the NCAA's responsibility because a long time ago they probably should have recognized how much money major college athletics bring in, and they probably should have said, all right, these guys are employees, make it a system where they can collectively bargain, and you have a set of rules in place then that they can, have to follow. But it's going to take some, I think, really innovative thinking. I just think it's kind of we're on the cusp of major change in college sports, and I just I love college sports. If the NBA and the NFL cease to exist tomorrow, I wouldn't lose 1 second of sleep over it. I love college sports, and so I want to see it here. I want it to, kind of, I don't care if they're paid, not paid. None of that stuff bothers me. I just want, I love the cats, and and I just want it to keep going. And it almost seems like there's such a mess, and there's all these lawsuits. It's like I'm just waiting on the final nail to drop, and they're like, you know what, let's just forget it.
yeah.
And
Well,
so it's just a mess.
yeah, it is, and I think they're just. I just want there to be some. Right now, there are no rules.
Yeah.
There's no rules, and everybody, and I get. I don't really have a problem with these players getting money. That's fine.
No.
That's how it is now. So if you have a problem, well, then it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. It is what
Yeah.
it is. These,
Somebody's going to get it. It might as well
yeah,
be them as anybody else.
these guys are getting paid, and that's just how it's going to be. But you know, but there has to be some kind of rules. Everybody talks about, well, the players should be able to do this and that, and we're talking about the transfer portal, and I get that, but there are rules even in professional sports. There are rules, and
Yep.
like Reed Shepard can't just go say, hey guys, tomorrow I'm going to go play for the Thunder tomorrow
Yep.
next year. He can't do that. And so I just think there's got to be it'd be nice if they could get some kind of rules for the transfer portal to where you can't just leave a school every year with maybe if they have to sign contracts, then fine, make these guys sign contracts. I don't know,
I
but
think that's really the only way out, me personally, is
yeah,
a system in place where there's contracts that are enforceable.
but I don't really love the fact that you can just go to school to school to school, because like I said, no professional leagues can do that.
Right, exactly.
And once you sign a contract, and if that's what it's going to come down to, then fine. I mean, let them sign contracts, 2 or 3 year contracts, and then if they want to try to leave, well, then I guess they can leave, but they're not going to be able to, you know, to
Go
play.
somewhere else.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, I guess we'll see. I don't know. I haven't heard anything concrete on all that with
No, I'm
this
not
guy,
either.
but
I think they said there'll be a hearing in 10 days. So, well, let's go ahead and jump over here uh, and get over to Ole Miss. We'll kind of preview that really quick. So Ole Miss comes in 11-8, 3-3 in conference play. So I think the biggest thing here is the intensity that Kentucky's played with the last few games has to be there. You know, Chris Beard's team always play well, and they play hard. And so they're they've won three of their last four. The last game was to Auburn; they lost that, but they've won at Mississippi State, at Georgia, and then against Missouri. So Georgia's a top 25 team, and Ole Miss was able to win there in a fantastic game. I think they had a buzzer beater the same night that Marino hit his. So I think you're just going to have to bring intensity, and I think that this seems like a Diabate game to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, this team, I can promise you, is going to be all up in our grill.
Yep.
I mean, they will flat out get after you, and that's just kind of a typical, uh, you know, Beard team, and so we better be ready to match that, or it could be a long night for us. But yeah, they're physical, so yeah, Diabate, I agree. Diabate is going to have to be big in this game because they will try to manhandle us if they can. Um, and they don't have any. I think they have three guys averaging double figures,
Yep.
and that store. I mean, he can play.
Yep.
That guy's the real deal. So I mean, we're gonna just have again our perimeter defense. If we play perimeter defense against Ole Miss like that we did against Texas, I really like our chances.
Yeah.
Um,
Malik Dia too is another one, 6'9", 250, and he's just
he's tough.
he's built like a brick house. And to me, he's the one when I saw him play, I was like, the only guy we have that can guard him is Diabate. So
Yeah.
he's gonna have to, he's gonna have to come in focused, high intensity, high effort, and be a difference maker. He's their leading rebounder, like I said, leading scorer. He doesn't pass the ball as well, and so it's not facilitated through him as well. But he's a big, offensive rebounds are huge for his game. Big, catching lobs at the rim, that kind of that dunker spot. So I think it's going to be a game kind of won by our secondary players if we're going to walk away with a win. Another thing, anybody happens to be listening to this and doesn't know, the game was moved to 11 a.m. Saturday, I guess, with the snowstorm coming in.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, so moved up an hour. But yeah, I mean, I, we just have to keep the effort, the defensive effort, and then when on that side, rebound the ball. Rebounding and defense is going to be a really key against this team.
Yep.
And then obviously, it goes without saying, we're going to have to make some shots. But I tell you what, we got to start doing. And against Texas, and it seems like a lot of games, we miss more layups than any team I've ever seen in
Yes.
my life.
Yep.
And we won, so I don't want to harp on that kind of stuff against Texas. But I tell you, we missed about 8 layups. I mean, shots that barely contested. Um,
And
and
that's been something all season. It's just, and I think every player's kind of had a case of it. We said Diabate's gonna be big in this game. He's bad to miss layups, always bad to miss layups.
yeah,
Aberdeen. So yeah, that's something that's got to kind of get cleaned up. And
yeah. I mean, we've got to capitalize on those easy ones because you know there there's going to be some times, and we've had these times where you know we might only make three threes in a game, and then you've just got to be able to you've got to capitalize on the easy shots. We've got to I not to go back, but in the Texas game especially, I noticed in the first half when Jasper Johnson was playing, he got into that lane almost every time when he had the ball. And
right.
he got in it about 12, about I don't know, 8 to 12 feet in that range with nobody around him.
Yep.
And instead of he's got to just be able to shoot that shot and make it. He's like hesitant. He gets in there. He tried to throw a lob once, instead of just shooting it. But yeah, about 3 or 4 times he had a wide open 12-foot shot,
Yep.
and just almost like I don't know. But that's a shot. If you can, that's a shot we want and need him to take.
Yep.
you know,
We're missing
and
that. Somebody that can consistently just one-on-one take a guy off the dribble, get to the lane, and get a
yeah,
shot off. And ultimately, though, if you're wanting more minutes, you're gonna have to knock those down when the opportunity presents itself.
I think he shot it once and missed it,
Yep.
but listen, he takes that on ball screen at the top of the key, and he's right in the lane, and just like I said, he's got a wide open shot. He's got to take that, and so um and which kind of just brings me to we're down. We've got guys down, and you got Jasper, guys like Trent Noah. They're going to play more, and they're going to have to. I mean, these are the guys. These guys are going to have to step up, and we're going to kind of see what they're made of. I think over these next few games.
Yeah, ultimately, you're
Um,
down to 9 players now, if Quainance isn't back playing.
right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I guess we complain about the rotation being a little too big, but I mean, I guess it's took care of itself now, unfortunately. Well, it gets to another piece who I guess a lot of people a year ago this time just assumed was going to be a um, depth piece this year, but it's the return game for Travis Perry. So was you sad to see Travis Perry go?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted him to stay mainly because I thought, he's a Kentucky kid. I thought that he could grow into a role here on this team and play, uh, um, have a role. But you know, I get it. He was offered, I think, double the money that he
Yeah,
was offered here. So that alone is gonna, that may have been enough for him.
yeah,
And because of the roster we did have, I mean, if everybody's healthy, he probably wasn't going to play much,
no, not at
you
all.
know, and so I get it. Like I said, I hated to see him go because I like for the Kentucky kids. I mean to to stay and just kind of be a part of it. But this is a new day,
Yep,
and when you're playing for money now, um, it's hard to stay when you pretty much know that you're probably going to be third string point guard.
yep. Well, and here's the thing, you know, anybody listening this probably grew up a Kentucky fan. You know, we give our right arm to just sit on the bench for 4 years. But when you're like you said, when you introduce money into the equation, uh, you know, $1 million a year. Let's just say that. I heard it was close to 7 figures for Travis Perry, and if that's the case, that's over 3 years. That's generational wealth that you can really make a difference and set up. Not only your life, but if it's managed well, your kid's life. So,
Yeah.
uh, and so I think that's just something to consider. It's hard to turn that down. I mean, I've never had to, I've never had to do that. I've never, been faced with turning down those sums of money. But ultimately, if you look at his games, he's getting close to 16 minutes a game, uh, 6 points a game, and shooting 36 percent from three. Those numbers are probably not there if you're at Kentucky. Uh, you know, I'm going to assume averaging less than 6 minutes a game, maybe, and that's probably counting some games where he's going to play quite a bit in the non-conference against some lower competition. So, yeah, I just ultimately it's
Yeah.
hard to say that he made the wrong decision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he made the wrong decision. I think he's plays more there than, of course, as it turns out, he might be playing more now at
Yeah,
Kentucky.
yeah,
Um, but I tell you, Denzel Aberdeen has really kind of grown into this role over these last few games of playing point guard.
yeah. I think
It's
shortening
just
the rotations helped him maybe more than anyone to say, all right, you're all we got. You have to play within the system. Much more ball movement from him. Not as much one on one as bad three. I thought he was going to set the record for air balls early in the season, but he's just been a completely different player, really, in the last 2 weeks, and I'm glad to see it because you see he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I mean, he's really grown into the role, like you said, he is accepting, I think, and is comfortable with what he's being asked to do. And it's a lot, but he's doing it. He's able to do it within the system, rather than dribbling around for 20 seconds. He's getting into the offense, and the best thing that we've started doing for him is that on ball screen. He's able to, and but we're doing, or he gets the ball to the top of the key to Malachi a lot of times to get the offense going. But we're not we're not as stagnant. If we can, as soon as he gets the ball out of his hands, um, usually we're moving the ball and we got guys cutting all over the place, and things are able to happen. So yeah, I think he's done great, but I we just have to play within the system, and we've got 9 guys right now without, and that's without acquaintance, and so um, we're just gonna have to
See what we
uh,
got.
see what we got. But yeah, I mean, Ole Miss is another kind of like Texas, like what we said about them. If we're not ready to play, they're going to come in. They will come in and beat us.
Yeah, they'll bring the
Um,
fight to you. You don't have to worry about that. You're not going to overwhelm them probably, and it's something it's going to take consistent effort for 40 minutes, and I'm here to see it. I think that's where we need to see growth from this team.
yeah,
So
yeah,
well, let's transition to some high school sports before we get our predictions for the game. So just a short little segment here on this. Kind of, I thought it was a week where everybody kind of held serve. You had teams like boys and girls side. South Laurel girls kind of held serve. North Laurel took a loss, but that was earlier in the week. But for the boys side, both North against OBI, Bell County against Harlan, um, they kind of held serve against district foes. And so the region's really not shook up a lot at the top. But what I did think was a game that you watched and can tell us just a little bit about uh, that maybe when we talked about Clay County, maybe Whitley vying for that third place in a team that feels like they can make a run when it comes time for the region tournament because they had a big win against Corbin.
yeah. I went to that game, and it was a heck of a ball game. Um, Whitley, Whitley and Corbin, and South in that district. All three of those teams. That's going to be a battle. It's tied up right now, as far as the standings go. They've pretty much have all beaten each other. Corbin beat South. South beat Whitley. Whitley beat Corbin. So they all play each other one more time. So we'll see kind of what shakes. But yeah, Whitley. I was pretty impressed with them. They've got some guys who can shoot the ball, and I know one of their best players. He wasn't able to play, so that makes a difference for them. But and then Corbin played well. They got down big early and fought back to actually take the lead by 2, and they just couldn't hold on. And but yeah, it was a heck of a game. But that's going to be that's going to be a good district tournament
Yeah,
there in the 50th district.
yeah, there's going to be a good team get left at the house. So I'm looking forward as we get into it a little more, and I'd like to kind of maybe get on some players from some of these teams. I've been thinking about talking with a couple guys I know and see if they want to come on and interview some of these high school players as they get ready to make that run towards region and get ready for their district tournament. But I guess that'll do it for us. We'll see everybody next time.